Good morning and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. Okay, well today I've been tagged in a series of videos. So I don't really get involved with very many tag videos, but I thought this one was quite an interesting one. And it was Barry from Sensualize that actually tagged me into this one. So thanks for that, Barry. He did a really good video, actually, very interesting, lots of different scents and stuff. And the tag's basically the ghosts of your perfume past, so it's kind of a bit like a meander down an olfactory memory lane. And unfortunately Barry's is a lot more interesting than mine, because when I was a youngster, my perfume choices were quite basic, I suppose, in some respects. I didn't really explore the world of perfumery that much until I was quite a lot older. But the first question that we've got, there's a series of questions, and obviously I'll rip through. I don't want to waste too much of your time, but it might be quite an interesting video for you guys to have a look at. So what I'm going to do is we'll do the questions, give you some answers, and then I'm going to tag a couple of other reviewers so you can sort of see what they have to offer in the world of perfume past. Okay, so the first question I've been asked was, what was my first perfume? Well, my first perfume was one that I still love today, and that was Polo Green. I absolutely adored this when I was a youngster. I was in fact a young thruster once. And this was it. This was quite a strange choice as well, because I've always looked at Polo Green as quite a mature fragrance. But for some reason, the teenage Matt thought he could carry it off. And I wore this pretty much religiously for a very long time. It was, yeah, a real signature scent for me. So this was my first perfume. I think I probably had splash of a couple of my dad's sort of colognes kind of things. But he wasn't... My father was a very dapper chap. He was very into his clothes, and he always wore a suit. Even when he wasn't at work, he'd have a shirt and tie on. But I don't know, fragrance never really kind of registered that high up on his sort of on his radar. It wasn't something that he was that fussed about. So I didn't really have much of an influence of it from him. But I'm sure I would have used some of his splash on colognes or something like that. But Polo Green was certainly my first fragrance. Okay, so the next question is, what was representative of your teens? Now, in my teens, I left school in my teens and I went straight out. We had a wonderful summer in '89 where I didn't really, I just had a job every other week. I did so many different jobs, but this was the beginning, certainly in my life, of the kind of the rave explosion that hit, and everybody was going to clubs and everyone was going to illegal raves and everyone was going dancing and stuff like that. So again, perfume wasn't particularly high on my priority list, because when I went out, within an hour you were like a sweaty mass where you'd just been dancing in a field, or in one of these cavernous nightclubs that seemed to pop up everywhere, and it was like a full-on 6-7 o'clock in the morning, you're still going. So it didn't really matter what you wore. You would indeed, you'd just be sweating. So it didn't really matter too much what fragrance you wore. And that's kind of what I was really into at the time. I'm sure I probably went out wearing Polo Green, which would have been hilarious. The idea of all this sort of day glow, ravey colours and everything like that. And then me strutting about, dancing badly, very badly in fact, with this kind of mature green woodsy fragrance. But that's kind of what I wore. The other things that kind of popped around at that point that I did like was Cool Water. So I've always got a bottle of this because it is a very nostalgic thing. And as Barry pointed out, smells are so good at unlocking memories. You smell something and it just transports you straight back there, quicker and better than any other thing. I can't think of a better way of promoting or prompting a memory rather than a smell. So this was quite popular when I was a youth, and certainly sort of my teens and 20s, this was everywhere. So that kind of brings that back. But in my teens, not really a great deal going on apart from Polo Green. In my 20s, though, things started to change a bit, and this arrived on the scene in '95. And this is Le Mal by Jean-Paul Gaultier. Now, I went through quite a few bottles of this, and I have this little 30ml as a reminder of what it smells like. Performance-wise, it's completely different now. When this came out, this was a proper beast, and now it's not really. It's been reformulated many times, but it still smells great. And it's one that I wear around the house. I've got a lot of fragrances now that can kind of, I can wear instead of this that give me a similar vibe. A Pomme is one that seems to be one that I really love. But this was a big fragrance when I was in my 20s, and it was very, very popular. So this kind of got, I certainly wore this quite a bit. Drac Noir, I flirted with that a little bit. I think I had a couple of bottles of Drac Noir through my 20s. I wasn't a massive fan of it, but I did like it. And obviously Aramis was around. So everybody was wearing Aramis. You go into a pub and the pub would often reek of Aramis. And I love it. It does take me back. It takes me back to my local pub where I grew up, where everybody seemed to wear it. So if I walk into a pub and someone's wearing Aramis, which doesn't happen so often now, it will transport me way, way back. Okay. So when I was, the next question, what fragrances in my teens didn't I really like? And I can't really say, because to be honest with you, my hazy recollection of my teens doesn't really kind of link me to any fragrances I dislike. Obviously, Kouros was out there. I think my guy, one of the guys that I knocked about with the most at the time, he was a big fan of jazz from Yves Saint Laurent. So obviously that kind of evokes some memories. But I liked everything. I didn't really have anything I disliked. The next question would be, what fragrances in my 20s did I dislike? And that's an easy one. That's Fahrenheit. I had a bottle of it and I loved it. I wore it to death, and back then Fahrenheit was massive. But I think I overwore it, and it's got such a unique signature smell to it. You know, you can pick that up anywhere, and I'm really dialed in on it whenever, you know, if someone gets on a bus or someone walks into a shop or something like that, I'm in now and I can smell Fahrenheit, and I still go straight into it. I started to develop a real dislike for violet, and that is a real prominent part of Fahrenheit. So Fahrenheit is definitely one that I just can't get on with. I just cannot get on with Fahrenheit. So that would be the one I do dislike. The next question is, what from my past do I still wear? And that's really easy, because that's Polo Green. I still wear Polo Green a lot. And this is the latest version of it, and it smells to me so much like the original. I did a video on it as well, because I've still got this tiny little splash bottle from back in the day of the original. So, you know, I can, you know, and I have done a video where I side by side them. So yeah, I could wear this every day. Could still easily be a signature scent. Now, I do have now a bottle of Tom Ford's Italian Cypress. I also have a bottle of Mousse Illuminé, and I'm a big fan of Halston Z14. So these are all different fragrances that all kind of smell very similar to Polo Green. So that DNA is still very much in my life, and I wear it an awful lot. Any one of those. If I'm going to be out for a refined posh meal or something like that, then it will be Italian Cypress. If I'm going out for the day at work, it will probably be Mousse Illuminé. And if I'm just sort of doing something locally or bopping about, then Polo Green, you can't go wrong with it. I absolutely love it. So what from the past would I not wear or can't get hold of is another question. And this is mainly due to, I think, fragrances coming off the market or fragrances that are that have disappeared or been reformulated. And obviously this one has to be mentioned. This has been reformulated to leaving this to be a shadow of its former self, which is a real shame. If that was still like it was back then, I would certainly have a bottle of it and I would wear it. I would like to revisit a couple. I did have a bottle of Chanel's Egoist, which I love. Now, what I've done with that is I've gone for GOF Trumper's Sandalwood Cologne, which I think smells very similar, but it's a little bit, to me, it's a little bit more wearable and a little bit, little bit nicer than Egoist. But that was quite big back then, so I wouldn't mind revisiting Egoist. And finally, Antaeus from Chanel as well. Now, that was quite an animalic, funky one, sort of kind of competing with Kouros, I suppose. I have tried Kouros fairly recently and I still love it. I don't own a bottle, but I probably will get back to that. I wouldn't mind a bottle of Kouros and I wouldn't mind a bottle of Antaeus, because I've not tried that for ages. Now, Rich, who is my partner in Questioning Scents, was a big fan of Antaeus. So I'll probably need... I don't know if he's got a bottle at the moment. If he has, maybe he could send me down a dribble so I could check it out. Or if not, I'm just going to have to go in store and try it. The other one that I kind of, in my late 20s, was Thierry Mugler's Amen. When that came out, I really liked that. I hammered that for quite a long time, and I wouldn't mind having another bottle of that. And a good memory, another question here would be, what is a good memory that I associate with my past? Well, pretty much every good memory that I have from my past is associated with polo green. So it's an easy one for me. I wore this when we travelled across China, so that's a fabulous memory. I've worn this all over the place. I've worn this on numerous holidays and numerous adventures. I'm pretty sure I wore that on my wedding day as well, which was quite a long time ago, so I can't tell you exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was polo green. So, you know, my wedding would be, you know, one of my greatest memories. So there you have it. It's a very brief run through there. I haven't gone into as much detail as Barry did because basically my journey's not been quite the same. It's only until later on that I got into perfume in a massive way. So for the last sort of, I think it was about 6 years ago, my sister introduced me to Bois d'Argent from Christian Dior, and that opened everything up. As soon as I got that Bois d'Argent, then I found everything. I found Aventus, I found, you know, this whole world of niche perfumery out there, and my journey began in earnest. So it's like the last sort of 6 years, I've been really heavily exploring perfume. Prior to that, perfume was something I always loved, but it was a very functional thing. So that's kind of like a brief sort of flick through my Ghosts of Perfume past. I hope it's been of interest to you. If you have any questions about any of these, then please hit us up below. And I'm going to tag some people in now, so you can obviously, if you haven't seen their channel, please do. First up, it's going to be Steve from Frags to Riches. Now, he gave us a shout out on the St. Keats podcast he does with Fragmental Chris the other day. Have a look at Steve's channel, and I'll be interested to know a bit more about his journey, because he's a bit younger than me. So he would have been, well, quite a bit younger than me, I'm assuming. So he, you know, his sort of perfume journey would be completely different to mine. So probably a lot less of the classics and maybe some more sort of modern fragrances. I don't know. So let's find out. So if you could have a look and check out his channel. If you're not subscribed, please do, because he does some really good work. Next up, we're going to tag Sherry over at the Top Note. Now, Sherry is in Australia. I think she's in Sydney. Fabulous reviewer. Her channel's quite a new one, but her passion for perfume is amazing. She speaks so well. She's got a brilliant voice and a real love for perfume. So please check out Sherry at the Top Note. She does a really good job. And finally, no, sorry, another one. I'd like to ask Tom at Ouch110 for his Ghosts of Perfume past. Tom's got a channel that I've been watching forever, and he's really good, really knows his onions, and his perfumes, obviously. So please check him out, and that's Tom Ouch110. We'll put links up for all the other channels. I'd like, you know, you guys to have a look and see what he's got to say about it, because it, you know, he's got a real varied collection, and I'm sure that his journey is going to be a really interesting one. So the Ghosts of Tom's perfume past will be quite a really exciting one, I think. And then finally up, I'd like to tag Sal, who's a new reviewer. She's got a channel, and she's based up in Scotland. Another one with a fabulous voice, a real passion for perfume as well. So check her out. And Sal, I'd like to know a bit more about the ghosts of your perfume past. Well, listen, guys, thank you very much. I'm going to be coming back with reviews as per normal. As I say, I don't normally get involved in these sort of tag things, but this one seemed like quite an interesting one, so I hope it has been. Anyway, listen, thank you very much for your time, and we will see you on the next video. Cheers, thanks, and bye.